Alright, so we got three things on the agenda for tonight. One of them being the office. We've talked about the office a few times. I just wanted to share with you our rough drafts of some of the job descriptions for the new positions, in particular the Human Resource Director. They would be here and what they would be doing. The bookkeeper that would be shared between us. And these things may change a little bit here and there, but this is kind of where we're at today. That would be shared between us and Virginia, as well as the business manager, so one of them will always be here. And we already have, of course, the payroll clerk. The job description would change a little bit in that she would be doing the human resources things. And then finally, what used to be the superintendent secretary would actually become a regular secretary, administrative assistant actually. Being that position, with most of the stuff moving to the human resource director that person currently does, that wouldn't be an eligible position to be confidential anymore, so that position would stay within ASME. We would just change the calendar to accommodate the school board schedule rather than the building secretary is happening now. So there's no cost increase there. Probably not so much for the human resource director. We need to discuss the bookkeeper and business manager we already talked about. Then the last one I want to talk a little bit about as far as district office goes is a licensed school nurse. We have forever had a health service assistant that is in the ASME group, which for whatever reason that's what the district has done. We had a change about a year ago, and we hired somebody that actually has a license, is a licensed school nurse. And the advantage to that has been the third-party billing, meaning that we are able to bill insurance companies for services that are rendered from that individual. And she's also able to, if we were to move to a licensed school nurse position, she would also have supervisory capacity over the health service assistant that we currently have in Gilbert, and could third-party bill for those services as well. So cost-wise, given that it does generate revenue, it would also be neutral. This position would have to be in the Minnesota group. It couldn't, because it's supervisory, it can't stay in ASME. And any questions so far? I'm giving you this stuff so you can hash it over for a week before we have a meeting on it. So.
And how is this current position, what's this current position considered right now?
Which one?
This school nurse.
We currently employ 2 health service assistants.
Health service assistant.
Both in the ASME group.
Okay, thank you.
So the last sheet I have there for you is, I'm going to talk a little bit about the office contract, or contracts, if you will. We started talking about this a few months ago. We talked about the possibility of, because right now, all of our confidential and supervisory positions are on individual contracts. We talked about just having them on one. I gave you a sheet here that kind of lays out the differences. The bottom on the confidential secretary obviously is going away. That individual that had those benefits anyway is retired now, so you can kind of see that the last few people that we've tried, kind of sticking to the same formula, and just looking for, do you want to continue to do them individually? Do you want to have one confidential contract? Do you wanna, when we start, because we need to do something about that soon, if we decide next Monday to add a bookkeeper to that, take away the confidential secretary, where's that gonna fall? Looking at increases, I mean, are these, do we wanna do the stipend thing with this group? And if you're wondering why I'm talking about this, just to reiterate, then these are not bargaining units, so talk about them in the open. Looking for feedback on that, so. Go ahead.
I think we should level them out, but since we are kind of reclassifying and delegating work and doing things, I think there should be some kind of maybe duty study and something, so we have a basis. I mean, all of our salaries are kind of all over the map, and I think there should be kind of more cohesion between what they are. Not saying they maybe not be less, but I mean, we obviously know that the business manager is going to go away, but I mean, I think that we should find some equal ground. So there's just, it seems like every time these positions turn over, it's like we're reinventing the wheel, and we just kind of need like what that position's worth, maybe not necessarily the person, if that makes sense. I mean, so when
So you want like a comp work study?
yeah, I mean, something that we have, just something set in stone, because if like I said, we have turnover in positions, and I mean, it's always, what's the person worth, then that's not really probably the best way to go. I mean, if a teacher comes in, we know what they're worth because we have a schedule, we have a scale. If somebody from ASME comes in, we have a pay scale too, if, you know.
And then we have a way to base their experience
Right.
and education on
And
where
we don't have that with the confidentials,
Yeah.
it's always who that person is, or how they got here, or where they came from, and who they know or who they don't know, and it's, I think we just need some more, just structure to this group, if that makes sense. Disagree, agree, comments, I mean,
What do other school districts do?
Both ways. I mean, I'll give you for example, Hibbing has one contract for all the confidentials. It's just, their pay scale is obviously, I mean, it's not all the same. I mean, there's one sheet that has listed for what the salaries are for each individual, but all the benefits and everything are the same. There are other districts that do them individually, like we do right now. There's advantages and disadvantages. There's, so I'm told, ours used to be together years ago. They decided to separate them because it makes it easier for evaluating them as individuals rather than a group. But
As individuals, are they represented by a union?
they are not, none of these people are represented by anybody.
even if we put them under one contract, there's still individuals on that contract, right?
Right.
So it's,
So they would negotiate together though? Or would they negotiate separately if they're combined?
Well, and then there's that, because yes, they probably all would come in their own and negotiate together, because
And if we put them as
Because
one,
if we equalized all their benefits, I mean, time off and health insurance and whatnot, we're probably not going to want to negotiate with them individually at that point.
but if we put them into a confidential unit and we negotiate as one, with them as one unit, we could probably throw back to them to do any type of job class audit throughout the state to figure out if their salaries and benefits are aligned with others.
well, I mean, that's what I said, I mean, that's just a function of the realignment we're doing right now anyway. I mean, we knew that the business manager position, for instance, coming up was grossly underpaid.
Right.
We knew the confidential secretary was vastly overpaid, but that was just because there was time and, I mean, there's lots of factors that went into these numbers, but I think we need to get our bearings on where they are, like to Jeff's point. level out the benefits so they're kind of across the board similar.
I think the vacation and all that sick leave, everything should be same, right across the board, and then you're just negotiating
Salary.
the salary for the position based on your experience. That's how it should be.
So
And that's simple.
So now,
Are we thinking to include the HSA as the same too?
Benefits.
I would think
Well,
so.
that
Yeah, it's
benefits-
sticky before too, because they could elect, but I suppose.
Yeah,
it'd be
I'll-
different.
just to throw it out there for how things got different. A lot of the skill, like, for instance, vacation, they use the ASME scale, so if they were here from 1 to 3 years, they got 5 days. If they're here from 3 to 4, they got 10. And we could continue to do that with one contract if you wanted to, or you can just tell them, this is how many vacation days everybody's getting, and that's that. Either way, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but I'm just, that's how things got different. And that's how things got different with the HSA, because that was a scale of, depending on how long you were here.
But those scales could still be part of the
It
contract.
could be, yep.
I mean, depending on however that contract is negotiated and worked out. But what I'm hearing a lot of people saying is having the one contract and looking at having the separate pay scale depending on the job classification. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, different if it's one contract or separate contracts. To Bill's point, I think we just need to kind of get to a direction where everything's similar and then go from there, I guess.
You look at 25 days of vacation, I mean, I understand that, that's yours, right? Based on.
That came from
Years.
years, yeah.
Right,
Compared to all the.
and 135
Yeah.
135 days of sick leave, I mean, so,
Yep.
when cumulative sick leave, that's a lot of days.
I'm sure she
I
rolled
mean,
them over.
And use them or lose them, that's a long time.
But if you look at our teachers and ASMEs, I mean, they have that same language in there too, that they want 150 days and, you know, they cash that stuff out. I mean, so, we just gotta start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, but these people can walk out the door at any time,
Everybody can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, these people ain't under contract, they could walk out. But,
All right, so where do you want me to go next? You want like a regional comp worth study on what others are paying these people
Well, that's,
to start with? And,
it's kind of district relative too. I mean, we can't compare ourselves to Virginia when they have 1,700.
no, I know, how do you,
Maybe a recommendation from the superintendent and go from there. I mean, can you compare some
We can compare with
regional
same
schools
size
and
districts,
schools of the same size and come back with a decent ballpark recommendation?
all right, so I'll do that. And then what also I need you to think, and then, I mean, we can do the, you know, all the benefits we can equalize that easy enough. It's just the salary that's the variable. But then, as far as the people that are already here, how do you want to proceed with that? I mean, you want to do the stipend thing, you want to do percentage?
I guess it's,
You just want to,
I think we gotta know where we're gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I
salary
think I'd
wise.
like to see it all
you just want to see
together.
it? All right.
Yeah,
And if
and
some of
then-
these, say our payroll clerk, if that's, hey, you know what, maybe we should think about $53,000, I mean, then the board will say, hey, you know what, we got a little cash, maybe this one time we'll stipend it just to get it there and we'll budget it future. I mean,
Well,
maybe, you know what I'm trying to say? I mean, just, we
yeah.
gotta see what your recommendation maybe is and see how we wanna bridge that gap,
Well,
budget-wise.
yeah, and I would just like to see it all together, because, yeah, if there's something that's gonna be being adjusted from the benefits, to be able to bring it all together and match it, then those would be pieces that we may be looking to use the stipend then to offset that.
Does that make sense?
So I would like to look at where bringing all of our benefits and everything together and how that would look, and then look at what the salaries and everything would look like after that,
Okay.
and have that discussion.
So obviously, I mean, then
Everyone's fine with that.
you're gonna put in there business manager sharing and HR sharing thing with Virginia too, so that's gonna kind of muddy the benefit water a little bit, but.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, because the agreement is gonna be that we pay for the bookkeeper, they have the business manager.
No, right,
Alright, well, that's what I will do, I'll have that for you for the next meeting. Any other questions on that topic? Next one on the list is the heating of the junior high. I invited Mike here to talk about, because there were some questions about, is it even possible? And, go ahead.
Okay, I guess anything's possible. I mean, there's a valve there that needs to be turned, and then the steam will go back that direction to that building. But when you get inside the building, there's a lot of things that we've used in other parts of our district. Like there's a compressor out of there that needs to be there for that to all happen. That is now, I think it's in the basement of this building. And there's steam traps that are not working. There's some leaks that definitely would have to be addressed. I guess what I'm trying to say is we'd have to get steam there and then go in there and see what this is gonna take. But there is gonna be some expense. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly until that time comes. But, I mean, as far as putting it there, yes, we can do that.
If we keep the building at around 40, 45 degrees, Mike, that should be sufficient,
But
right?
you can't right now, Tom, I mean, that's the problem.
The compressor's gone, right?
Yes.
So
The
why,
compressor's gone, and the thermostats really don't work anyway, so.
So, yeah, there's a lot of issues like that that would have to be addressed and fixed. And like I said, that compressor, we're trying to save the district money and use it in another area, because at that time that was not being used. So it's not like it's not in use, it's just in a different spot. But that would definitely have to be, a compressor would definitely have to be there.
so the decision was made to take the compressor out of there, knowing that we weren't gonna heat it this upcoming winter, was that correct, or?
No,
made that
the
decision?
compressor was out early last spring, when, it was at the time where, of course, I was new in the spot, and I was, whatever money I can try save,
Mhm.
seemed like the thing to do. Was it the right thing? I don't know. But, and I told Mark Halleck, who's our plumber at the time, and them guys took it and put it down here. I mean, we would have to purchase one for down here, so it's, I guess it's not a major problem, but that would have to happen to get things going. And like I said, once this all starts, then we'd have to go in there and see what it's gonna be.
I guess one of the questions that I had is, I was kind of under the impression that if we did heat to that junior high building, that it's kind of all or nothing heating.
Right.
Just the way the steam is, and
Right.
so we wouldn't be able to keep it at lower temperatures.
Well, I know before my time here, I know they tried to, like, just barely turn the valve kind of thing, you know, where you just let in little bits. And I believe that didn't work.
Okay.
I don't know if the problem that they're having there is because, it was off for a little bit or not. I mean, I don't know, but like I said, I just think over time, because that building is old and it just wasn't maintained because we weren't using it.
Do we know how much that was costing the district on a monthly basis?
It's tough to calculate because it's not on, and it's not metered. It's steam, so the only thing you can do is go by square footage.
Or you can meter the condensate. I mean, you got a meter at all that's can meter the condensate coming out of that steam, out of the return line? Because you're only heating the first floor, so the steam would be a tremendous amount of condensate coming back.
Right, well, the thing is that condensate pump over there
Mhm.
is leaking.
but you dump it into the trap that would meter it, then you
Right,
then pump it back to the, I mean, where are you pumping it to?
it goes back.
To the boiler, okay.
But the cons of it, Mike, there's drains in there, so whatever the condensate does come out, it'll go out the drains. So all we would be doing is maybe adding a little bit more water up here, or maybe waters if we don't pump it back, is that correct?
Well, yeah, I know that, well, in the past, when we had the 3 boilers that heated all the way and all the way up, so I guess, I don't know how much more that would be for the cost, you know, and I don't think they're, like, you asked a question on that meter to see. I will find out though.
So it's interesting because, I mean, I don't know what my thoughts are on this. And I know that when Chickagami was there, I heard a lot of complaining in the community that Chickagami was renting the space for a very low amount of rent, and that it was costing our district a lot of money to be keeping that space open for the amount of money that we were receiving for the rent costs, and people weren't happy about that. And I honestly do not know how people will feel about that we're keeping this building open for a what-if possibility.
Well, it's not,
I mean,
it's not so
I
much of a
just-
what-if possibility.
Well, it is, because we
It's-
don't know. It could be torn down. That's our reality. It could be sold.
It could be sold.
It could be, I mean, it's a what-if, we don't know.
My argument would be on this is it would, I mean, the best case scenario is to sell the building. To sell
We
it.
don't know what we're going to be doing.
But
To
here we
me,
go,
that
now we're
seems-
spinning our wheels, we got
That's
too
why
much
I
space,
said
we got too much
That's why I
space and.
said multiple times and have been criticized for it. That's why we need to prioritize.
Mhm.
We're all over the place with what our decisions. We're talking about tracks, we're talking about collaboration with Virginia, we're talking about 1 school, 2 schools. We're all over the place.
Mhm.
So again, that's why we need to prioritize it. I think it would be foolish as a school district to sell that if we have no idea what we're doing.
Yep.
That seems to be foolish to me.
Okay, so what
And
happened?
granted, I mean, bulldozing it to make a parking lot, is that the best? I don't know. But I can tell you, when people come here for sporting events or conferences, one of the big complaints is there's nowhere to park. And part of my issue with this conversation is, I understand, we don't want to be wasting buildings and whatever, and I get that conversation, but here's where I have an issue. In the last 3 months, we've had numerous people coming to talk to us about the choir program and, wanting to enhance the choir program. And there's parents here, there's teachers here, there's students here about that. We also have the issue with the track. We've had parents here, we've had track athletes here, and also I've been hearing that we want to also enhance our tech program. How are we going to do those things if we're going to be spending money to heat a building that hasn't had students in
All
there?
the students in it.
And I don't know the exact reason why Chickagami had to go out. Can you tell me that? Why Chickagami students needed to leave?
They had financial issues. To Kelly's point, it was costing us more to keep that building open than we were making rent, so we basically told them that either you make up that difference or you gotta go, and they couldn't, so they went.
But they never paid for yours, though, did they, at all? I mean, look at yours and they never paid anything?
Well, they always paid
Okay.
it.
Really wasn't
And they couldn't pay what it was worth. I mean, it costed,
So, on this topic, I received 2 emails about the junior high, and that's all that I've gotten. And I've seen Facebook posts regarding the situation. But again, I really have a hard time looking at cutting choir and not cutting choir, but they're looking for.
Not adding to the program.
Right, they're looking to have the program added onto, and again, we've got the track issues going on, and it just, I got on this board to help kids. To help further them, advance them for their futures. And I understand taxpayers, because I am one, they don't wanna just bulldoze a building, but what are people's feelings on heating that building and maybe not having a extra choir teacher or enhancing the tech program? I mean, what are their feelings about it? Because I'm not getting anybody contacting me. And I've been very vocal. I mean, I reopened up my Facebook page for, to give information, because I've heard complaints that we're not getting out enough communication, so I reopened that up. And just strictly for, providing information to people about when we're having meetings. But, and we're seven human beings here on this board, just trying to make the best decisions that we can make. And if people have great ideas, if people have ideas or they have proposals, I'm open to listening to them. I am. But it has to be, other people have to also contact me.
Let's look at the choir program. They were looking for $40,000, right? If I recall, and to keep that program going, they had good participation in that program, right?
But they were looking,
Tom, I gotta slow you down though, because that's way off topic. I mean, we're talking about heating the junior high building.
well, and the only reason why I bring that up is because the argument of, the
Where our
cost of
money's
it.
going to, where our money's going to.
Here's my thoughts. We don't know what's gonna happen with that space, whether it's gonna be deemed that we need that in the future, or if not, so that we have to sell it, or do something with it. So, to me, that leaves us with two choices. We heat it, so it doesn't get damaged in case we have to sell it, or refurbish it, or do whatever, or we winterize it.
Well, we've got,
That's my thoughts, because
I mean-
otherwise, if we don't do one of the two, and we have to sell it, and we lose 80,000, 50,000 in equity because we didn't need it, that's not a good idea either. It's a rock and a hard place, because it's not funding something now and possibly losing money.
I mean, the consensus right now is not to heat it. That's not big now. So, Mike, how do we winterize that building?
Well, it was partially winterized last year. We have to go over there, and right now, there's no water in it. There's no, all your toilets, everything is all the lines are blown.
Into all the steam traps, everything would be emptied, I mean, basically.
Yeah, we'd have to just go through that and just make sure that it is all done. And then, to my knowledge, the building could sit, right?
Yeah.
well,
Well, that makes more sense to me than heating the building.
See, because here's my take on it, and I've sat through a lot of these meetings, and I've sat with all these architects that have come up and had numbers. The cost of demolishing it with abatement was, $750,000 plus. I mean, do you wanna sit on a building that you're eventually gonna demolish? And so you got $750,000 that you could have used in the classroom?
where are we gonna
That you
get?
could have sold that piece of property, just have a parking lot and a couple tennis courts? I mean, where do you?
Well, I guarantee you, we're never gonna sell that building for $750,000.
No, and you wouldn't, you would just want.
That's the point there, either way. To Brandy's point, if I may,
I
I
understand the
go
space.
park on the
issue.
side street when I come and pick up my kid, and the city of Eveleth has parking signs now that they don't want school employees parking on the side streets. Am I correct?
Yeah. Or anybody.
Non-resident.
Yeah, non-resident, you can't come to the city of Eveleth by the school and park because the residents that are by the school, to Brandy's point, we don't have parking in our residential school located
I know
buildings.
this,
And we need to address that.
I know this is off topic, but how many spaces would you gain by if you got, say, the manual arts building was to be raised? How many spaces would you gain from that? Parking spaces?
Manual Arts building? from this one time, was it like somewhere between 30 and 40?
We don't even have those parking for our own students. I mean, only seniors get to park and,
Students, I mean, we have public transportation.
but that's
yeah.
irrelevant too. I mean, it's,
I mean,
we
when I
have
was,
working students and teenagers that have to work and provide, you know, make their own way because they have to work as a high school student. I had 2 jobs as a high school student. I mean, I paid my own way as a
Or
high
getting
school.
their
I
way
mean,
to sports.
Yeah. I
okay,
mean,
so back to my topic, Mike.
Mhm.
Sorry, Brian. But winterizing, it could be done. Winterizing that building could be done.
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, what would it take? Would it cost, I mean, how labor intensive would it be?
Well, we've got 2 people working in that position now, and I don't think it would cost as much, actually, just because they're here anyway, we're paying them anyway. And I mean, yes, they have their duties and everything else, you know, and they kind of work on a priority list, but I don't think it would be much for them to go over there and put some time and at least come up with some answers
I mean,
and see what,
I mean, because this is like unseasonably cold weather for this time. of
Right.
year. I mean, it's like we're below freezing and,
where's the abatement on this building? I thought we decided last spring to abate that building, and I don't recall stopping, because we had IRRB funds we could have used for that.
that was spent on the roofs, I do believe.
Well, we had a little bit left over, didn't we? And then we had it budgeted in our health and safety dollars for the last 2 years.
You're looking at $750,000, maybe $1 million to knock that building down. Where's the funding gonna come from?
I asked a different funding question that we already had funded. I mean,
Okay,
where's the
We
abatement process
let
on
that
that?
building go,
Yeah.
and we have to knock it down. What are we gonna do with the Magna Arts building?
The,
That building probably should be the
the
first one.
consensus last spring was
Yes.
to not,
No, that's gonna give you some
Forward
parking
with-
area, isn't it?
Well, we'll have
Yeah.
to deal with that when we know what we're gonna decide on our buildings.
We're not talking about
I mean, we're not there yet.
tearing anything down at this point.
We're looking at some pretty good money here to start knocking those buildings down. If we got any way that we could sell that building or get some use out of it, that would be the way to go with it. The junior high building, Magna Arts building is probably shot right now. And going into I still recall that the choir program, they wanted $40,000 to give, that's what they were looking at. We got over $2.5 million sitting in the Gilbert Bank. Can't we take $40,000 out of that bank and give it to that program and keep it going?
We're not talking about
completely off.
we're not
No, but
talking
could we
about the
get-
program.
well,
We're collecting interest on it,
Yeah, I think,
very little interest on that money sitting over there.
alright, so consensus is we're gonna winterize the junior high building. That's what we're gonna do.
Nothing wrong with that.
I
I
would-
think that's probably the least.
that was the most cost effective.
Well, we don't know the cost, I guess, is the part of that.
Well, heating,
But
we
it
know
sounds
it's gonna.
like,
We can start tomorrow.
it sounds like it's
Yeah,
most
winterize it.
doable.
I can let you know how it's going.
Alright, so we'll do,
So then what are you gonna do for like, now that nobody's in there, you know, are you guys gonna, what are you gonna do to keep like vandals from breaking windows? Are you gonna keep the power on in the building just to check on it periodically, or what are you guys gonna do?
Well, I would assume we're just gonna lock her up.
Okay.
And like, we really haven't had any problems with vandals and, I mean, I guess that could happen. Well, Mark,
His area.
you know,
Well,
it's kind of right in the middle of town, people would, you know,
Kids are gonna break windows, kids are gonna
I
break
mean,
windows.
yeah, you get a broken window once
I
in a
know,
while.
but if the
so-
power's out and like one of the yard lights or whatever you wanna call them is off, I mean, it just makes it a little more easier for kids to.
Well, the streetlights are, I mean, that's not our bill there, is it?
No, I think the streetlights
I
are
mean-
by the city or county.
And I would have no problem contacting the city and make sure that they have the
Those are up.
lights all working
Yeah.
around it.
We don't pay a minimum fee to MPNL, do we? We go strictly by kilowatts on the meter, they read the meter and
Not
that's,
For that
Is
building?
that got its own meter?
it's got its own meter on it.
Yes,
that one is,
So,
Yes.
whatever power is consumed in that building is what we would be paid for.
If the power's shut off to that
Yeah.
building,
There
it
won't be
should,
much,
there
no.
should not be anything.
no.
If the power's shut off, then there's. no-
Yeah, if you power, water, I mean, all that, there should be,
We're not paying a minimum fee
Say like
for that
50
building.
power.
That's what I'm saying, the point I'm making, but what's the point of that?
Does Minnesota Power have a minimum fee like
No.
Lake Country
I can
Power?
double check and.
Well,
make
I
sure that
think
you
they
know.
do, they
They do.
did.
But it's like a couple months.
They have a fee,
It's
a
a
minimum
meter
fee, just
fee.
like Lake Country Power.
But is it bad?
Lake Country Power is 46 bucks.
Lake Country Power covers a rural area, Minnesota Power does not.
Yeah. All right.
So anyways,
Anything further on that? We're just winterizing.
winterizing.
Yeah, winterizing.
Start tomorrow.
Okay.
Very good.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, last topic. We have a few requests to go to the MSBA conference. And last spring when we had this discussion, you guys as a board were going to make that decision. It is an unbudgeted amount. So if you want your fellow people to go, have at it, not my decision.
I requested to go.
I
I
do not.
requested to go.
When is it?
Sometime in January, second week of January maybe.
Yeah.
It's not a matter when and where, it's just, do you want them to go or not? That's all I need to know. You tell me yes, I'll sign them up tomorrow.
I mean, there's money available in staff development to send us there, correct? And to
No,
send us.
it's an unbudgeted expense at this point.
I mean, I think my personal thing is, I mean, everybody here's went or had the opportunity to go once. I don't understand the cost to go again to the district myself. That's myself.
I think it would be nice to do a rotation every other year to be able to do it. Having gone last year, it was good information.
But you only saw half of it.
It was new. Am I ready to go this year again? I don't know. But I think probably within the 2 years again, I would be really ready to go again and absorb the rest for my next 2 years then, for a
I
4-year.
mean, anybody can go.
I think
if they
every
want
other, it
to
would be good,
on their
but,
own dime, but I don't know if it's
so.
effective for the district to pay for it every year, I mean, especially.
How much is it, Jeff, to go?
It added up.
Last year we spent about $3,800 on it.
Yeah, but that's
Because
small.
that's hotel, that's
How
food,
many people?
that's conference.
That was just,
I went, Kelly went,
I
Bill
went.
went.
So you're talking about $900 a person.
it was just the three of us.
900.
That went.
900.
$3,800 for the three of us.
24.
I thought that was.
No, it was
So
just the
we're
three
talking
of
1,200.
us.
No, it wasn't that much. I mean, my hotel stay was
No, that's
We're
We
talking
were
12.
there for how many days?
Mileage,
Two.
hotel,
250
2 days.
per person.
food.
The conference
It's a pay.
itself,
Yeah.
costs money.
I guess my opinion would be, whoever is elected tomorrow should attend.
Have the option to attend.
Yeah,
Have the option.
have the
yeah.
option to attend. And then, as Kelly said, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have it on a rotating schedule. I mean, people do have that option to go if they'd like to go, on, like Mike said, on their own dime, but every other year I think would be sufficient.
You get a lot of information, you know, and you're being updated too, you know, even on a yearly basis, I mean, that's good information for.
It's-
everyone.
It's good,
We're
it's
not
just
talking a big
costly.
bundle of money here.
but it's.
If we
but
all
it's-
find
but
money
it's
to do other
education.
things.
If all 7 of us went, so think about it though, if all 7 of us went every year, there were 3 of us that went and it was $3,800. If all 7 of us went, I mean, I get the training and I do think that there's a lot of value in that, I do.
You're looking at $9,000 a year.
How much is it to get into this thing, Jeff?
More than $9,000.
How much is it to get
It
in?
was
I mean,
only
let's put the cards on the
400
table before we start throwing numbers out there. Because I just have a hard time believing it costs that much money.
Well,
I
it's-
do.
It was 3 days, I think, 3 nights last year.
No, it's,
Yeah,
it was,
Weren't you there?
it was Friday,
It was Thursday night. Because
Yeah.
I remember Kelly went and
Yeah.
I couldn't get there.
Thursday night,
till
Friday, and then half a day Saturday.
No, it wasn't on Saturday.
It's the middle of the
It was
week,
during the
it's
week.
like a Wednesday,
Yeah,
Thursday.
We came back
Friday.
on Friday,
But I want to say that it was 3 nights. I could only stay 2 weeks.
and I only charged half of my mileage too, because then I went to a work meeting in the afternoon on Friday, and used work mileage coming back, so.
As I said, I mean, anybody that's willing to, wants to go and think it's value added for themselves, I mean, they wanna pay their way, I mean, more power to them, I mean, if it's $1,000 a head, I mean, I think just to take a field trip for the Franklin, I mean, these kids gotta bring $5 for the class, and it's $500 for them to, you know, pay to go on the bus, you know, for transportation, I mean, that's, you start thinking field trips and stuff like that, it all adds up, you know.
I know, but it's tough to ask people to pay for it on their own dime, because honestly, our pay for the school board
It's a community service committee.
It is a community service, so thanks for,
We're not,
yes, it is a community
we're not
service.
here for the money, but.
Thank you. So you know what I mean, though, so
I mean,
that,
as far as that conference go, all that information is available via the MSBA website too, so if really, I mean, if anybody's value added, they read that magazine every month when you get it, and
it's
you.
more, it's a little bit more motivating when it's
I
presented.
think it's 185.
Well, and
But
you
yeah.
know,
185 to go?
I wouldn't be
Entry.
opposed to paying the entry, but hotel and, you know, maybe a compromise would be pay
Yeah.
the fee to the conference, but you're on your own for hotel and food.
Well, I don't know, I've been on the board for over 4 years and I'm still the same wage that I started at 4 years ago. You know, so I think they've, you know, we've contributed a little bit to it.
Yeah,
If you want my 2 cents,
yeah,
I think you should let people go to this thing because truly, there isn't a lot of opportunity. You guys aren't in education, you're not educational professionals, you don't work with this stuff, and anytime that stuff is available to you, I think it's good to get exposed to that stuff, and for the expense that it is, whatever you come up with, I mean, I'm a big believer in training, and I think that it is what it is. I mean, I find value in it myself, but
I don't know of any other school district that suppresses their,
it's not a matter of suppressing, Tom. I mean, 2 years ago, the board made a decision that they wanted to cut X amount of dollars, and that was part of it. And then last spring, you guys decided that anything further, you guys would make that decision. I wouldn't, and I'm fine with that, but I'm just telling you, I think training is invaluable, and especially for you guys, because you don't get exposed to a lot of this. I mean, lots of this stuff is thrown at you, and you have no idea what I'm even talking about.
You know, of all the classes that we went to and all the roundtable discussions, we only saw
oh yeah,
a
it's
quarter
hard
of
to,
what we, I mean, there's just too many things going on, and that's what we had said when we had met up. I wish it was a little bit longer, so we could go to more of these things, and we
Yeah,
didn't
it's-
get
It's
to go
good
to them.
networking. I mean, you can meet up with other people and ask what they're up to, and I
Well,
think for the amount of money that, I mean,
here's
my
what,
personal opinion, I would let them go.
here's what it looks like. Advanced registration through January 3rd. It looks like Tuesday, January 9th, it's $105 for the Phase 1 workshop. Wednesday is Leadership Foundations, School Finance and Management. Phase 2 is $185. So they must charge per day.
and those were the phase 1 and 2 that
And then the
the
early birds.
newer one would have to go to, who's
But I
already
think
elected.
if you don't go to the early birds, though, I think it's free. The actual, the 2 days of
The conference.
the conference itself, they don't charge for members, and we're members, so. It's just all the other stuff.
Actually, anybody in the public can go for free too, if you want to know.
Because I remember I had to do the 2, that Wednesday one, I had to do my. So,
Okay. The Leadership Conference registration tuition is free as a benefit to your district for being a member of MSBA. Even though the conference is free, please go online to register your attendees. So the actual
so
conference
if you
is
just
free?
do the conference itself, it's free, so then. And we shared hotel last year. I don't know if anyone's opinion, but as far as the cost.
So I mean, if you don't have to pay $300
so
for,
sorry.
you
I'll share with Tom.
But
don't have
I
to pay
mean.
a $300 fee for going, then
Mhm.
maybe not so bad.
And
then.
neither one of them guys should have to go to any of the early birds, because they've
Yeah,
been to it.
yep, those were, yeah, that would just be for who's ever elected, if they're able to go to it.
They would have
That's what we went to, right? Thursday night, we met up or something.
So,
That's what it says. There's a recognition luncheon, that's $35.
it is good training, it's just, it's hard though when we're talking about budgets and talking about money and talking about the district and talking about decisions, and it's hard then to say, here, let's
But
put the money
I
on
just, I
going.
really,
I know what you're saying, I mean.
training is very valuable stuff. I mean, we spent all day today, your kids were at home today, and it was an extremely valuable day for us. I mean, training is invaluable to me.
Didn't we set guidelines for
Meals.
meals and stuff
Mhm.
too?
Following the, didn't we, yeah, put something, yeah,
Mhm.
yep,
Yeah, that was what.
It was based on the state?
Yep.
For
In that
CONUS.
area,
yep, for the CONUS rate stuff.
yep.
So if it's not gonna be that expensive, it's not a big deal.
You don't care?
I disagree, but
I think you
Kelly?
you gotta start making decisions that are cutting my time spending.
I'm fine with that.
All right.
Yeah, we don't have to pay a conference.
However, if you put the education in the people that are making some big decisions, and just what Jeff said, I didn't go to school for education, and that's what I kind of speak up to sometimes when there's certain things that, when I feel that some of us are crossing our line and starting to micromanage our administration, I point out that we can't do that because we do have to trust in our administration, because I didn't go to school for that. So, I mean, any extra knowledge that we can get for what our responsibility and role is. And it is delivered differently than reading it. I mean, there were some things that I was super passionate with hearing about from other districts that they were doing. That's exciting, and I think anything to energize our board can be helpful to us.
All right, I will register them tomorrow, and if anyone else wants to join, let Justine know. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.